somewhere deep inside you. So there is a version of you so mighty, so radiant, so unstoppable, yet you keep letting the timid, trembling shadow of yourself speak in your place. That shadow has told you you're not enough. That shadow has made you shrink when life called you to stand tall. But today is the funeral of that shadow, and it will not rise again. You've carried two versions of yourself all your life. One is bold, brave, and unafraid to dream. The other is the weak, weary echo, built from other people's doubt, your past failures, and your own fear of falling again. But here's the truth. Only one of them can survive. You see, the weak version thrives on hesitation. It waits for the right time that never comes. It whispers, "You're not ready." It convinces you to play small, to hide your power, to stand in the back of the line when life has reserved a place for you in the front. And the danger, if you do not kill that weak version of yourself, it will kill your dreams in silence. So listen to me, not with your ears alone, but with the spirit of the self you were born to be. By the time we finish, you will not walk away the same. You will bury that timid self and step into the one who was born to take up space, speak up, and move mountains. Fear is clever. It doesn't always show up screaming. Sometimes it comes dressed as reason, whispering, "Wait a little longer, think it through, be safe." It will disguise itself as caution, as logic, even as love. And before you realize it, you've delayed your own greatness year after year. I have seen too many people hand over the keys to their destiny because fear told them the road was dangerous. Yes, the road is dangerous, but the bigger danger is never taking it. Fear's goal is not to keep you safe, it is to keep you small. It doesn't care if you survive. It only cares that you never thrive. And the truth? You have been treating fear like a partner, a trusted advisor, like someone whose opinion you must respect. Before every decision, you've been checking with it. Do you think I should? Is this too risky? Will I embarrass myself? And fear, faithful to its nature, always finds a reason to keep you exactly where you are. Fear will always find evidence against your progress. It will take your past mistakes and use them as proof that you are not ready. It will take someone else's failure and hold it up like a warning sign with your name on it. It will take your deepest insecurities and dress them up as facts. And you have been listening. Think about this. Every time you wanted to speak up but didn't, every time you wanted to try but decided to wait for the right time, every time you told yourself, "I'll start next month," fear was at the table, nodding in approval. And because you treated it like an honored guest, it kept returning. Let me tell you something. Fear cannot be reasoned with. You cannot negotiate with it because it does not want compromise. It wants control. It is like a vine around your spirit. You give it a little room to grow, and it will wrap itself tighter and tighter until you can barely breathe. But here is the dangerous part. Fear often feels like safety. You think you are protecting yourself, but you are actually imprisoning yourself. You think you're being wise, but you're really just being still. And the world will never call you out for it because fear's comfort is socially acceptable. People will applaud your patience when really it's paralysis. They will praise your caution when it's really cowardice. And if you're not careful, you will wear those compliments like medals while your dreams wither in the background. You see, the strongest version of you, the one that holds your potential, knows that the only real safety is found in movement. Stagnation is the breeding ground for regret. You think stepping out into the unknown is risky? Try staying in one place for 10 years, watching the world pass you by. That is the greater risk. That is the slowest, cruelest kind of death. Fear will tell you it is protecting you from failure, but in reality, it is protecting you from growth. It is protecting you from becoming more. And if you are not willing to challenge it, you will start building your entire life around avoiding what scares you. Imagine building your house in the middle of a prison yard and calling it home. That is what negotiating with fear looks like. I want you to remember a moment in your life when you did something afraid. Maybe it was speaking up in a meeting. Maybe it was walking into a room full of strangers. Maybe it was finally telling someone the truth. Whatever it was, I guarantee you walked away stronger. I guarantee something in you expanded. And I also guarantee that fear was wrong about how dangerous it would be. That's the thing. It is almost always wrong. Fear is not a prophet, it's a liar with a megaphone. It is loud, but it is not accurate. It predicts the worst possible future and sells it to you as inevitable. But the real tragedy is not that fear lies, it's that you keep buying the same lie again and again. And you buy it because it is familiar. You have lived with fear for so long that you mistake it for truth. It feels like part of you, but let me remind you, fear is not you. It is a squatter living rent-free in your mind. It produces nothing, builds nothing, gives nothing, and yet it eats everything. Your time, your energy, your opportunities. There is a day you will look back and realize that fear stole years from you. You will see all the places you could have gone, the things you could have done, the people you could have met, the life you could have lived, and you will realize that the door was never locked. You were simply too busy asking fear for the key when it was already in your hand. So here is the shift. You stop asking fear for permission. You stop presenting your dreams to it for approval. You move forward without its blessing. You tell it, I hear you, but you don't get a vote. And at first, fear will fight back. It will turn up the volume. It will remind you of every failure you've had and every weakness you carry. It will try to scare you with what ifs. But something beautiful happens when you start acting without negotiating with fear. You begin to teach yourself a new truth, that fear has no real power unless you hand it the reins. Every time you step forward without its permission, you weaken it. Every time you take a risk despite its voice, you shrink it. And one day, you will wake up and realize that fear no longer sits at your table. It's been relegated to the back of the room where it belongs. You were not made to be ruled by fear. You were made to be led by vision. And vision does not negotiate with what holds it back. It breaks through. There was a time when you didn't question the way your soul reached for things. You dreamed, and you didn't measure the size of those dreams against the size of your current circumstances. You laughed without asking if your laugh was too loud. You danced without checking if anyone was watching. You loved without guarding the door of your heart so tightly. That was before the world started its quiet, patient work of shaping you into something smaller. You came into this world as fire, bright, alive, and unafraid to take up space. But somewhere along the way, someone decided you were too much, and you listened. You started making yourself smaller so you would fit inside the box they handed you. You learned to bite your tongue when your truth wanted to speak. You started trading the raw beauty of who you were for the polished mask they found acceptable. And maybe they didn't even mean harm. Maybe they thought they were teaching you how to survive, but survival is not the same as living. In the name of being practical or realistic, they took the edges off you. They trained you to color inside their lines, to say yes when you meant no, to settle for less because wanting more seemed greedy. And each time you complied, the original you, wild, unapologetic, pure, took another step back into the shadows. But I want you to remember that person, the one who used to run toward life instead of tiptoeing around it, the one who wasn't afraid to fail because failing didn't mean shame, it just meant trying again, the one who didn't worry about being liked by everyone because being fully themselves was enough. That person is still here. They have been watching you from the corner of your soul, waiting for you to notice them again. Sometimes, when you catch yourself daydreaming about a different life, that's them tapping you on the shoulder. When you feel a spark of excitement at the thought of doing something daring, that's them speaking through the noise. When you are tired of pretending to be okay with the way things are, that is them shouting through the cracks of the mask you've been wearing. The truth is, the weak version of you was built out of the world's opinions. It is stitched together with every moment you chose comfort over authenticity. It wears the voices of your critics like a coat. But the original you, that one was crafted before the world could touch you. That one is clothed in courage and possibility. That one doesn't care about fitting in because they were born to stand out. You see, the danger of forgetting who you were is that you start to think the version you've been living as is the real you. You begin to believe that the cautious, hesitant, overly agreeable person you've become is all you can be. And if you live like that long enough, you will bury your original self so deep that you'll mistake the silence for peace. But there is no peace in pretending. There is no joy in living a life that was pre-approved by someone else's comfort zone. The moment you stop chasing their approval and start listening for your own voice, you will remember. You will remember the way you used to speak your mind without editing yourself. You will remember the way you used to dream without asking for permission. You will remember the thrill of living for the experience, not for the applause. It is not too late. You have not gone too far down the road of pretending to turn back. That childlike, fearless, unfiltered version of you is not gone. They're simply under layers, layers of expectation, layers of fear, layers of shame, layers that were never yours to wear in the first place. You have to peel them back. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable. The world trained you to believe that being your true self is risky. But here's what's more dangerous. Living an entire lifetime as a watered-down version of yourself, and then, at the very end, realizing you never let your soul breathe. When you remember who you were, something shifts. You stop seeking permission to live the way you want. You stop apologizing for your energy. You stop explaining your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You begin to live in a way that makes you feel alive, even if it confuses those who liked you better when you were quiet. And I will tell you this, when you start living as the real you, not everyone will celebrate it. Some will feel threatened because your courage will shine a light on their own fear. Some will resent you because they preferred the version of you that made them comfortable. But that is not your burden. You are not here to make people feel safe in their smallness. You are here to remind them, by example, that they too have an unfiltered, fearless version of themselves waiting to be remembered. Think about it. Every person you admire, every soul whose story moves you, they are not extraordinary because they never had fear or doubt. They are extraordinary because they remembered who they were and refused to let the world make them forget again. The weak version of you will tell you it's easier to keep playing the role you've been given. But the real you knows that easy and fulfilling are not the same thing. The real you would rather fail at something true than succeed at something false. The real you knows that your purpose was not written in someone else's handwriting. It was carved into you before you ever spoke your first word. And so remembering is not just nostalgia, it is rebellion. It is a declaration that you will not be molded into something smaller just to make life easier for others. It is an act of war against every voice, external and internal, that told you to quiet down, to wait your turn, to stop asking for so much. You were never asking for too much. You were simply asking to live as you truly are. And that is not too much. That is the only thing worth asking for. You have been told directly or indirectly that your strength is too much, that your confidence makes others uncomfortable, that your clarity sounds like arrogance, that your light blinds those who have chosen to live in the dark. And somewhere along the way, you believed them. You started toning yourself down, softening your voice, folding your wings so you could fit in the cages they built for you. I want you to hear this. Strength is not the problem. their smallness is. There is a world of difference between humility and self-erasure. Humility is knowing you are powerful but not needing to shout it in every room. Self-erasure is pretending you are less so, others won't feel insecure. One is grounded in self-awareness. The other is born from fear. Too many of you have mistaken one for the other. You apologize when you speak with authority because you don't want to seem too confident. You downplay your accomplishments because you're afraid someone will call you proud. You hide your skills so no one thinks you're showing off. You've been trained to believe that being powerful is dangerous, that being strong will leave you isolated, that being excellent will make you a target. And the truth? Sometimes it will, but that is not a good enough reason to shrink. Your strength is not here to please them. It is here to serve your purpose. Every time you hold back, you are not protecting their feelings. You are betraying your own calling. You have a responsibility to the gifts you were given. Hiding them is not humility, it is negligence. The world doesn't need more watered-down people playing small. The world needs people who stand fully in their power without asking for permission to do so. People who walk into a room and don't measure their voice against the comfort level of those who've chosen to stay quiet. People who understand that their strength is not arrogance, it is stewardship of the life they've been given. I want you to think about a time when you witnessed someone living unapologetically in their power. Maybe they spoke a truth you were too afraid to say. Maybe they accomplished something you thought was impossible. Maybe they carried themselves with a dignity that could not be shaken. Did you resent them, or did you feel a spark ignite inside you? That spark was the part of you that recognized itself in their strength. The truth is, people who are offended by your power are often those who have abandoned their own. They see in you what they buried in themselves, and it is easier to try to dim your light than to reignite theirs. Do not take their discomfort as a signal to shrink. Take it as proof that you are living in a way that demands others confront their own choices. Stop saying, "Oh, it's nothing," when someone compliments you. Stop following your brilliance with an apology. Stop softening your tone so the truth lands more gently. Some truths are not meant to land gently. They are meant to shake the ground. And if your voice is the one to deliver them, you owe it to yourself and to the world to speak them fully. Your strength was not given to you to make you easy to digest. It was given to you so you could move mountains, break chains, and shift atmospheres. And that kind of power is never comfortable for you or for anyone else. But comfort is not the goal. Transformation is. Do not confuse being liked with being impactful. Being liked is easy. Blend in, agree with everyone, never speak too loudly, and you will collect approval like trinkets. But you will also collect regret. Being impactful requires the courage to be misunderstood. It requires you to stand tall when the crowd leans away. It requires you to live in such a way that your absence would be felt if you were gone. You are not here to make everyone feel at ease. You are here to live in such a way that others remember it is possible to be fully alive. And that means owning your strength without apology. There will be people who accuse you of being intimidating. Let them. Intimidation is not something you do. It's something they feel when confronted with a version of themselves they have not yet stepped into. Do not shrink to soothe them. Instead, invite them by your example to rise. I know why you've been apologizing for your strength. You were taught that strong people are too much, that women who speak boldly are aggressive, that men who show leadership are overbearing, that leaders who don't bend to popular opinion are arrogant. But these labels are just the vocabulary of the weak to explain away the discomfort of witnessing strength in action. Strength is not loudness for the sake of loudness. It is clarity of purpose. It is a refusal to be moved by fear. It is the courage to carry responsibility without letting it crush you. And when you embody that, it will feel foreign to people who have only ever known compromise. Do not apologize for your ambition. Ambition is not greed, it is the hunger to fulfill your potential. Do not apologize for your intelligence. Intelligence is not arrogance. It is the tool with which you carve out your place in the world. Do not apologize for your standards. Standards are not snobbery. They are the boundaries that protect your peace and your value. And above all, do not apologize for taking up space. You are not an accident. Your presence here is not a coincidence. The universe did not go through the trouble of breathing life into you just for you to fold yourself into the smallest possible shape. When you own your strength without apology, you send a message to the world. I am not here to be convenient. I am here to be true. And the people who are meant for you will not only understand that, they will celebrate it. Those who cannot handle your full light are simply not meant to walk with you in its glow. Do not dim yourself to keep company with those committed to the shadows. Your strength is a gift. Stop treating it like a problem. Everyone loves the idea of transformation. Everyone talks about becoming the best version of themselves. But when the conversation shifts from inspiration to discipline, the room gets quiet. People want change, but they don't want to do what change demands. And so they keep chasing motivation like it's a magic potion, not realizing that motivation will fail you the moment the work gets hard. Discipline, however, discipline will carry you when motivation is nowhere to be found. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not applause. It's not the rush of excitement you feel when you start something new. Discipline is waking up early when you would rather stay in bed. It's showing up for the work when the spark has burned out. It's doing the unsexy, repetitive, thankless things that no one will ever see, but that will shape you into someone unrecognizable to your past self. The weak version of you loves motivation because motivation feels good, but it avoids discipline because discipline feels like work. And yet, everything you want, every goal, every dream, every transformation lives on the other side of disciplined action. Not bursts of action, not occasional effort, consistent, relentless, unapologetic discipline. We are living in a culture that worships the quick fix. People want results without the grind. They want the reward without the repetition. They want to look strong without ever training. They want the wisdom without the time spent learning. They want the life without paying the price. But the truth will never change. Discipline is the price. Discipline is the bridge between your potential and your reality. Without it, you will keep living the same year on repeat, calling it a life. You will keep making promises to yourself that you never keep. And every broken promise will chip away at your confidence until you stop believing in your own words. That is the quiet death that comes from living undisciplined. The disciplined self understands something the weak self refuses to accept, that feelings are not facts. You will not always feel like doing the thing you need to do. Your emotions will try to talk you out of it. Your mind will give you 1,000 reasons why today can be the exception. But discipline does not negotiate with feelings. Discipline does not ask, do I feel like it today? Discipline says, it's on the schedule, so it will be done. You can be talented and still lose if you are not disciplined. You can be smart and still fail if you are not disciplined. Talent might open a door for you, but discipline is what keeps it open. Without it, you will keep sabotaging your own progress. Think of every goal you've set and never reached. Was it really because you weren't capable, or was it because you stopped showing up the moment it got inconvenient? Discipline is the difference between the people who talk about what they're going to do and the people who actually do it. The people who get results are not always the most gifted. They are simply the ones who refuse to quit. And make no mistake, discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's about training yourself. training your mind to obey your commitments, training your body to endure discomfort, training your spirit to stay steady when everything around you is chaotic. You cannot live a life of freedom without first mastering the structure of discipline. Discipline will make you do the hard things now, so life becomes easier later. The weak version of you avoids the hard things now, but pays for it with a harder life later. If you save yourself from discomfort today, you are handing yourself over to regret tomorrow. The strong version of you is forged in the repetition of disciplined choices. It's in the decision to go to the gym when it's raining. It's in the decision to write one more page when your mind says you're done. It's in the decision to save the money instead of spending it on instant gratification. Discipline also requires that you stop lying to yourself. Stop saying, I don't have time. You have time. You're just giving it to things that don't matter. Stop saying, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow is a habit, not a day. Stop saying, I can't do it. You can. You just don't want to pay the price. You will not always see the results right away. Discipline is planting seeds when the soil still looks barren. It's trusting that the work you put in today will bear fruit in a season you can't yet see. Most people quit because they don't see instant results, but you must be willing to outlast the season of invisibility. Your results are growing even when they're not visible yet. And here's something else. You cannot outsource discipline. You can hire coaches, join programs, read books, listen to speeches. But at the end of the day, no one can do your push-ups for you. No one can wake up early for you. No one can replace the hours you must put in. People can encourage you, guide you, even inspire you, but only discipline will transform you. If you make discipline your closest friend, you will stop being controlled by the weather of your emotions. You will stop living by the fragile currency of motivation. You will start to trust yourself because you will know deep in your bones that when you say you will do something, you will. And when that happens, you become unstoppable. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, not because you stop facing challenges, but because you have built the strength to keep going no matter how you feel. You stop being a prisoner to your moods. You stop being a victim of your own excuses. You become the kind of person who moves forward no matter the season, no matter the storm. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom, it is the foundation of it. Without discipline, you will always be at the mercy of whatever feels good in the moment. With it, you gain control of your future, and there is no greater power than that. If you spoke to the people you love the way you speak to yourself, would they still feel safe in your presence? Would they still feel valued, cherished, and worthy? Too many of us are fluent in encouragement when it comes to others, but fluent in cruelty when it comes to ourselves. We know how to lift a friend, comfort a child, or inspire a stranger, but when we are alone with our own reflection, the voice turns sharp, unforgiving, and cold. You cannot build a strong version of yourself with words that tear you down. You cannot expect to rise while telling yourself you are not enough. You cannot demand greatness from yourself while feeding your mind a steady diet of insults and doubt. Words are seeds, and the ones you plant in your own mind are the ones you will harvest. Some of you are walking around carrying the weight of decades of self-talk that was never kind. You have called yourself names in your head that you would never dare speak to another person. You have criticized your own reflection until you believed the lies. You have let your mistakes define your worth. And because this voice has been with you so long, you have learned to mistake it for truth. But it is not truth, it is a habit. Think about the way you speak to a friend who has failed. You remind them of their worth. You tell them one mistake does not erase their value. You encourage them to try again. Now, think about the way you speak to yourself when you fail. Is it the same, Or do you call yourself lazy, stupid, incapable? Do you drag yourself through a trial harsher than any enemy could deliver? You must understand this. Your inner voice shapes your identity, and your identity shapes your behavior. If you constantly tell yourself you are weak, you will act in ways that confirm that belief. If you constantly tell yourself you are capable, you will act in ways that prove it true. Your mind is always listening, always recording, always turning your words into your reality. The weak version of you thrives on the poison of self-criticism. It uses your own voice to keep you small. Every time you speak to yourself with contempt, you hand it more power. But the strong version of you is nourished by encouragement, by belief, by compassion. It cannot grow in a hostile environment. Some of you think being kind to yourself is weakness. You think you must be hard on yourself to stay disciplined. But there is a difference between discipline and abuse. Discipline says, you're capable of more, so let's work for it. Abuse says, you'll never be enough, so why try? One builds you, the other destroys you. You have to become your own ally. That does not mean lying to yourself or pretending you are perfect. It means speaking the truth in a way that builds rather than breaks. When you fail, acknowledge it, but remind yourself that failure is not final. When you fall short, take responsibility, but do not strip yourself of dignity. This is not about blind positivity. It's about intentional language. Your words to yourself should guide you, not gut you. They should correct you without crushing you. They should challenge you without condemning you. Look at the people you love. You know their flaws, but you don't define them by those flaws. You see their potential even when they can't see it themselves. You cheer for them even when they stumble. That is what love does, and you are just as worthy of that love from yourself. Start catching the moments when your inner voice turns cruel. Pause and ask yourself, would I say this to someone I care about? If the answer is no, then it doesn't belong in your mind either. Replace it with something that is both true and constructive. This is not about empty flattery. It's about choosing words that move you forward instead of chaining you to the past. You cannot wait until you feel worthy to start speaking to yourself with kindness. Worthiness is not something you earn. It is something you own. And when you speak to yourself with the dignity you deserve, you begin to rise to meet it. This shift will not happen overnight. You have been practicing negative self-talk for years, and you will slip back into it at times. But every time you catch yourself and choose better words, you weaken the grip of the weak self. Every time you encourage yourself instead of condemning yourself, you strengthen the foundation of the strong self. Understand this. You are the one voice you cannot escape. You will live with yourself every single day for the rest of your life. Every morning when you wake up, you will hear yourself before you hear anyone else. Every night when the world is quiet, you will speak to yourself before you sleep. You are your own constant companion. The relationship you have with yourself will set the tone for every other relationship in your life. If your voice is harsh, you will project that harshness onto others. If your voice is patient and strong, you will carry that same presence into the world. How you treat yourself is not just about you. It is about the energy you bring to every person you meet and every room you enter. There is power in deciding that you will no longer be your own enemy, that you will not let the loudest critic in your life live in your own head, that you will speak life into your own bones, even when you are tired, even when you are scared, even when you feel like you are failing. Because here is the truth. If you will not fight for yourself, it will be easier for the world to fight against you. But if you speak to yourself like someone worth protecting, worth loving, worth believing in, you will carry yourself in a way that demands respect, and the world responds to that. The strong version of you will not emerge from insults. It will not grow in the soil of shame. It will rise when you learn to speak to yourself with the same unwavering love you offer to the ones you hold most dear. That love will not make you weaker. It will make you unstoppable. There will never be a perfect day when the skies open up, the stars align, and the path ahead is bathed in golden light, free from doubt or risk. Yet this is what the weak version of you keeps waiting for. A mythical moment when every question has an answer, when every piece of the puzzle is neatly in place, when fear has been completely erased. That day will not come. And the longer you wait for it, the more life you waste standing still.